Again, then you can pause it.
Sure. Says recording.
Okay, that's fine. So you can pause it.
Begin with Rhoda, who says she can't hear. Rhoda, were you unable to hear the announcement? I can hear now. Okay, very good. Superb. That's what we want. Thank you so much. All right, so welcome very much to our knowledge exchange and learning event today. If I could ask that as we get started, if people could turn on their videos if you have the bandwidth, and let's at least get a visual on everyone and a wave. Oh, it's so nice to see everyone. Yay! Brilliant. Brilliant. Lovely. Agnes, great to see you. Hi, Chantal. This is lovely. Oh, what a treat. What a treat. Great to see everyone. And with that, let me just share my screen for a moment. So today is our second in a series of our country updates. These are the updates that we would have heard had we gotten to meet in Senegal. And I'm really happy because today we have two more amazing speakers. We had two amazing speakers last time, but I'm going to ask Serge if he could just share a poll so we can see how we're feeling today. So poll number 1. All right. So we've got, oh good, we've got 60% voted. Anyone else want to cast a vote? Oh, we're almost there. Super. And so may we show the results of the poll? All right, look at this, half and half, energized and ready to go, and pretty good. So that's a great way for us to start. Thanks so much. And then we're going to have one other poll, and that is the second poll. And we want to just ask you which category best describes you as a member of the RFS. You may have to scroll down to see all of the appropriate ones, and then you check the one that best represents you. Oh. Oh, we've got a good distribution. And if you can't find a category that suits you, you can tell us in the chat box. All right, we're about 70% have voted. Let's see if we can get to 80. And then we can, perhaps now we can share the results. So the majority of us are representing project coordination, and I'm delighted to see that we have representation in almost all the categories. We might be missing the Jeff Secretariat, but we had a really, it was lovely to hear from our Jeff Secretariat representative last time. So today we're going to be hearing from Nigeria on the integrated, I can move this out of my way, the integrated land management to enhance food security and ecosystem resilience in Nigeria. And we're also going to be hearing from our colleagues in Malawi on improving the resilience of agroecological systems in resilient food systems. So before we get started, just one quick note around the sort of principles of engagement. If you would, please, we're in meeting format, so you have control of your mic, so please stay muted unless you're speaking, presenting, or making an intervention. Register questions either in the chat box or feel free to use the raise your hand function. But we're very delighted if we can hear from you when the time comes. And most of all, I think, please be comfortable, right? Have your water with you and whatever you may need. So with that, I am going to stop sharing my screen. And I would like to invite Rhoda Dia to provide the first presentation from Nigeria.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
It's afternoon here in Nigeria, so let me get the presentation. Wow.
Let us
Sabrina.
know if you need help. Sabrina can help.
Would you like me to share screen, Rhoda? I've got your presentation here.
Yeah, please.
That's
because please help me share. I can't.
okay. If you
my own.
No problem. If you unshare your screen now, I'll get your presentation and I can flip for you. No problem.
All right.
Great.
Thank you.
No problem.
So I'm presenting on behalf of the project. My name is Rhoda Dia. I'm the project manager, and my colleague Habib is also in here. I have some of my partners. I can see Ado Turaki from Jigawa State. Some of my states, our target state partners are also on the platform. We told them to join, to all participate. I'm sure some of them are on the platform. Our project, as you rightly said, integrated landscape management to enhance food security and ecosystem resilience in Nigeria. It was supposed to be presented by Abdullah Higarba Abubakar, who is the national coordinator, the person representing the government partner in the project. I don't think he is here, but he might likely join us before we finish. The goal, the project goal, the overall goal of our project is to enhance long-term sustainability and resilience of food production system in Nigeria and build greater community resilience to climate risks and other shocks that drive food insecurity. The project, we work in 7 target states in Nigeria. Nigeria has 36 states, but we work in 7 states: Kano, Jigawa, Katsina, Benue, Nasarawa, and Adamawa and Gombe states. And in each state, we work in 2 local governments. In 2 local government, and in each local government, we work in 5 communities. So we have 7 states, 14 local governments, and 70 communities. And the project targets 42,000 smallholder farmers along the value chain, ranging from producers, processors, marketers, agro input dealers, farm service providers, and so on. And out of which 28,000 are youths, male and females, and 14,000 are women. That's the project beneficiaries are women and youth purely. So I think more than like 45% of the beneficiaries will be women, because we still have women among the youths, especially the unmarried. And at the end of the project, we are targeting 1 million direct and indirect beneficiaries. I'm on transit, please. I parked, so there might be noise of vehicles moving. So please bear with me. For stakeholder engagement, the project is partnering with Federal and State Ministry of Agriculture. In the state is the Agricultural Development Project, because the government has another agency under the Ministry of Agric in the state that are saddled with the responsibility of promoting agricultural activities, training to farmers, offering extension services. And the agency is called Agricultural Development Program. So they are the partners the project is working with at the state, and in the federal is Federal Ministry of Agric. The project is supported by Federal Ministry of Environment too, which is the joint focal ministry on environmental conservation and management issues. The strategic direction of the project is being overseen by a national and state project steering committee members, which is a multi-stakeholder committee that has been set up to oversee the management of the project. They provide strategic direction. And other partners include, other stakeholders include universities, research institutions, civil society organizations, local user organizations, beneficiaries, both men, women, and youth. So this is about our stakeholder engagement. To scale up sustainability resilience and food security approaches, what we do is continuous awareness raising among decision makers, awareness among direct beneficiaries and communities, especially community leaders, on the benefit of climate smart practices through demonstration plots, through radio programs, through social media, through policy briefs. These are some of the strategies we use to upscale sustainable resilience approaches. Then we also do continuous training, shared learning, and dissemination of climate smart practices with relevant stakeholders on various platforms. We also create linkages for farmers with input dealers and markets, like seed companies, agro dealers and suppliers, off-takers, for them to become village suppliers also. We link the beneficiaries to all these private organizations so that they can also become supplier of improved seed and other farm inputs to make it accessible to farmers. They don't have to travel far to go and look for improved seed. They don't have to go far. So some of them are now distributors of these inputs. We also equip extension agents with mobility for easy access to beneficiaries. Because when we did our baseline, one of the major challenges that was teased out was that the extension agents do not have mobility. to access farmers and also go every now and then to offer extension services was a serious challenge. So the project was able to provide motorbikes for all the extension agents that are working on the project. About 84 of them now have vehicles that they can use to reach out to farmers. To scale up, next, the project, what are we tracking? We are tracking increase in production and improved land use. That's reduction in soil erosion and increase in vegetation cover. We are also tracking increase in farmers adopting climate smart practices. We are also tracking job creation along the value chain of production consumer. So we are tracking job creation culture. We're tracking improvement of linkages between farmers and private sectors, like I mentioned earlier. We are linking farmers with the companies that are producing improved seed, that are selling fertilizer and all other farm inputs so that it can be accessible so we are tracking those information, improved land use and intensity. We are also tracking all these can influence policy through advocacy platform that is being established at the national level, state and community level. Next. Hello, next slide. Yeah. So what is our approach to gender mainstreaming and monitoring is that we are currently, in fact, the mission I went for is for a gender study. We are doing an extensive and a comprehensive gender study so that we can have a gender plan and have targeted interventions that will transform, that will bring gender transformation in projects. And presently we have over 45% of our direct beneficiaries as women. And the project from inception, it is gender friendly because women are part of our main target. And the project ensures participation of men and women in trainings. Every other activity that we do, we ensure that women participate. We have this challenge, especially in the core northern part of Nigeria, where we don't find women and men sitting together. By insisting any activity that is being done, women should make a greater number of the participants. So all the trainings on erosion control, agroforestry, every other thing that is done, women participate. So the project support beneficiary, mostly women groups, to enhance their traditional livelihood activities, such as groundnut and shea nuts processing, beekeeping, small ruminants, and all that. So recently, women have been empowered. Some of them were giving small ruminants to rear for milk production, to improve family nutrition, and also to improve family income. And we have procured labor-saving equipment and installed them in a structure that we have built. We call it agricultural center, where women can also, where it will reduce the burden in labor when it comes to farming and make agriculture attractive for youth. So these are some of our approaches to gender mainstreaming. Resilience. resilience will be accessed based on combined monitoring of increment in total crop production, because the project, we are meant to improve the production capacity of our farmers by at least 20%, of which I'm sure and convinced that it will even be more than that, because from the practices we have seen so far, and how they are adopting the good agricultural practices and climate smart practices, from when compared to farmers' plots, what is from the demo, there is more than 50% increment in some instances. So, and if their farm produce is being increased, it means their standard of living will be improved, and it also means improved income. And we also increment in beneficiaries who practice and adopt sustainable land and water management practices and climate smart agricultural practices and technologies, reduction in land degradation, and improvement in land use. Also, increase in additional job along the value chain and other alternative livelihood, because we want to also reduce post-harvest loss, and all those farm produce that used to waste will now be turned to other form of valuable things that can be used, either for animal feed, either for fuel wood and all that. And all these will also increase job, and there will be more involvement of youth and women in agriculture, because part of what the project is trying to do is to also make farming attractive to youth, so that they don't have to go to the city and not be productive. As far as media is concerned, we have a media network in each of the states we are working. We call them media network. We selected three media persons from the print media, TV, radio. Though radio is the one that is mostly used in Nigeria, in the northern part of Nigeria. So we have the media people, we have trained them and put them through what is climate smart agriculture, and how to disseminate information to our beneficiaries and to the people. So we have a communication strategy that has been developed, and we have social media pages. We have Twitter, we are on Twitter, we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, we have a website, and we have, for 2019, we have 5 mini video documentaries. We have, we are planning now to have biannual newsletter. One is almost ready. We will share it as soon as it is ready. And we've also have our baseline report, and when the gender report is ready, to gender study report, we are going to publish all of them. These are our website, Facebook, and Twitter pages. If you go there, you will see some of our activities that we have been doing. So I can't see the heading, but so far, more farmers from neighboring communities and villages that are not part of the project are showing interest. Come, we want this project. If they see demo plots when they are passing, we want this project, we want to be part of it. So it's like we're having overwhelming interest of everybody wanting to be part of it. But the phones cannot reach out to everybody. So, and I think it makes the scaling up easier, such that it's easy maybe for some of those communities to go there and talk to others. And by that, we will replication will not be difficult. And all harvests from demo plots for various farms recorded 40 to 50% increase, like I said earlier, compared to farmers' plots, due to use of improved seed, good agricultural practices, and climate smart practices. And awareness creation on the presence of aflatoxin in maize and groundnuts, and adoption of the use of aflosave as a biopest technology among farmers. In fact, they are not even aware of the existence of aflatoxin. But this project has created awareness on that, and farmers are seriously adopting it. Some governors are planning to replicate our agricultural centers that we constructed under the project with little modification. And in some states, farming seasons rain-fed. Previous, and we have also introduced soybeans of our state. They have never done dry season farming. Now we introduced it last year. Now they ask for dry season farming. Meanwhile, now new things that farmers are adopting from the project. Next slide. Overall experience so far has been rewarding because of our women support, like I said earlier, from beneficiaries, from community leaders and government. In fact, one of the state governors has given $120,000 out as counterpart fund, Gombe State, which already they are scaling up what we are doing in some new locations. And we have inadequate extension workers, some of our challenges. Some are retired, some are, they are not enough. So what we do is to, when we are training extension, communities that don't have enough, we supplement with lead farmers, because to encourage farmer to farmer. We have flood. This is a picture of a flood state. In fact, last week, one of our communities, so these are some of the challenges, but what we do where the water is not too much, we've provided the community with ready pumps and they scoop water from the farmland. We also use technology like cover crops and earth bonding to reduce flooding on farmlands. We have some security challenges in some of our states, like Katsina, and in Benue, we've had cases of communal land clash. So these are some of the security challenges we still experience in some of our communities. But what we do is the project teams, before they go to community, they try to find out about security reports before moving. And one of our major challenge too is that some of the state governments are not making efforts in giving counterpart funds. Though there are promises here and there, we are still hoping that the federal and the state will step up and give counterpart funds so that we can scale up this laudable project. So far, what we are doing is we continue working on policy review, and the consultants have already submitted a final draft. So we are done with policy review and harmonization. And what we have left now is the establishment of multi-stakeholder platform. We established a demonstration plot for rice, granules, and showcase viability and benefits of climate smart agriculture to farmers so that they can adopt and duplicate. We also support outgrower arrangement between beneficiaries and agricultural private sectors. We will continue to train and mentor more beneficiaries on erosion control throughout this year now, from March till now. In fact, presently, trainings are going on in our communities on agroforestry, on erosion control, and alternative livelihood diversification packages. There are some are doing beekeeping, some are doing small remnant fattening for dairy production. And as I said, we are conducting gender study now, and we are going to conduct a study on technology adoption by farmers. We have procured protective clothing and motorcycles for our extension agents, as I mentioned earlier. And later on this year, probably next quarter, we are going to have an intensification training for youth and women on rice and groundnut product processing, where they can process rice and groundnut with high level value addition. We want to see zero wastage when it comes to these two mandate crops that we are working on. And we are constructing post-harvest and processing centers. We have already done 8. The one in Jigawa now is being completed. It's only painting that is left, right? Jigawa, I can see you people. So very soon, Jigawa Construction Center, Agri Center will be done, and installation will also be done like the other states. So these are some of the things that we are working on now. And already seedlings, a lot of seedlings, thousands of seedlings has been procured, and planting of seedlings are ongoing in our communities to increase vegetation cover and carbon stored. Yeah, next. Household partners working. We're already working with CI on vital signs monitoring framework. They've come to Nigeria. This is our picture. They came, they've done trainings for our team, both the national and the state level. So now they are producing our baseline cover marks for our 70 communities. And we've been trained on it. So we will keep practicing it so that we can be expert on that. UNEP is supposed to support us in establishing multi-stakeholder, gender-sensitive and inclusive platform at the national level. Then we will replicate. We have already fixed a date for March, end of March, after Senegal meeting to do, was it before or after? Before the Corona Wahala came up. So now it will be rescheduled as soon as international airports open. I'm sure they will fix another date for UNEP to come and support us with that. We are also seeking support from FAO for training on fairs and nutrition monitoring, because this project is also supposed to track monitoring in nutrition. We are working on nutrition. That's why we also give small remnants to our women in the communities for them for dairy production, so that it can improve family nutrition. And we plan to collaborate with Seed for Change and Syngenta on vegetables production. We were to sign the contract. They want to supply our farmers with free seed of tomatoes, vegetables, a lot of assorted vegetables. It's a company, I think, in Netherlands. So they want to give our farmers free seed and free training. So we were to sign the contract before this issue of Corona, and I'm sure the plan will still be on ground, and soon probably we will use it for dry season farming so that our farmers can also utilize that. For country projects, collaboration, we will explore collaboration because it's like they are far ahead of us, and we see that there are many things we will need to learn from them. That is for that. So these are some of our pictures. This is our training for media persons. Earlier I mentioned that we have trained media persons. So for all our activities in all our states, we have media people that are, as the states are implementing activities, they are disseminating information everywhere as if we are the only people doing food security in Nigeria. Next. This is our Agri Center. This is the one in Benue. You can see it's a very beautiful building. We have the processing center where our equipment will be. We have a store. We have a small meeting place where if you want to train a small number of farmers, will be there. Then at the entrance by the left is the gatehouse. By the right is the processing center where we will house our equipment. Then facing the gate is the office and a small meeting hall. So this is our Agri Center. So we have one of each, 2 in each state. That is generally is going to be 14. This is the processing center. This is the gatehouse. This one. Yeah, next. This is still the Agri Center. Kanu. Next. This is some Jeff Nigeria office went to some of our communities to monitor what we are doing. So these are farmers in one of the communities. This is a picture of earth bonding where the extension agents are training farmers on how to control water in and out of their farms. In fact, this farmer told us that as of that time, the previous year, the farm used to be flooded, but this has helped him now that the farm is not flooded as previous year. Yeah, next. These are some of our demo plots in Adamawa State. That's a granite farm. These are some of our beneficiaries. They came to weed the farmland, women and youth. Next. This, okay, we had a PPP, public-private partnership summit. So where we brought all the stakeholders along the value chain, the companies, the off-takers. We had a meeting with them. It was a summit where they signed contract with farmers. They were to support them with inputs, then buy back at a premium price. So these are some of the market linkages we are trying to do. And the off-takers are ready to support our farmers. Now they said after this season harvest, the contract was signed last year. After this year's harvest, they are going to off-take their farm produce. They are going to have an aggregate center where they will come and buy those harvests at premium price, better than the market price. So this was a summit. Abuja, we did it in all the 3 zones of the project. Yeah, next. These are some of our demonstration plots in Gombe. You can see women and youth. This is Gombe 2, Brown Day, where they harvested their corn. You can see the corn stalk is big. This is, they are teaching them how to harvest and keep it well. And the farmers were taught the practice from the beginning to the end. This is some of the trainings of our extension agents when they were trained on good agricultural practices and some climate smart practices. Theory now before the field work. We went to see Governor of Jigawa State. The picture by the left is us, the project team, and the Governor of Jigawa State. This was also a demonstration plot in Jigawa State. This is Benue. This is their cassava demonstration plot. They were doing a green day, showcasing the practices to farmers. And this was a harvest of corn from Benue State too. This is Nasarawa. That's granite farm. That's rice. So this community now, this state is where they discovered they can do 2 seasons, because the rice and the granite were planted after harvest, after first harvest. So now this is the second harvest for the year. The farmers now said, wow, so we can do 2 seasons. We were not aware because of planning to do 2 harvests in a 2 planting season in a year, rain fed. Next one. Yeah, yeah, thank you. That is all. Yeah.
Oh, Rhoda, that was so good. Thank you so much. And you've really given us the whole story, and we greatly appreciated the pictures. That was brilliant. Really, to be congratulated for that work. So right now, what we would love is to find out if there are questions or comments or something that Rhoda talked about that you'd like to learn more about. So I can see most of you. Can I find out? Yeah, you're getting excellent presentations. You're getting claps, Rhoda.
Adisu has his hand up.
Oh,
Adisu?
thank you. Please, Adisu.
Okay, thank you.
And you just need to, oh, I'm not hearing you.
No, it's perfect.
Okay.
Go ahead, Adisu.
Really good presentation. I would like to raise it by using different indicators: productivity, job creation, use of climate smart agriculture, and
Adisu, I think we lost you a little bit. Could you maybe type your question in the chat box? We just heard one part of that.
Yeah.
So maybe if you can type your question. Adisu, if you're willing to type your question, I think Junkie has got another one, and then we can come back to your question. So Junkie, please.
Yeah, thank you, Constance, and thank you, Rhoda, for this comprehensive presentation. Yes, I could see last 2 weeks ago, we have had with Nigeria team a training on outcome mapping, and I can see to what extent the team is really engaged in this program. My concern about this presentation is related to the, working with the private sector. I can see that Rhoda and team are trying to engage the private sector through various value chain. Can Rhoda share with us some, I can say some practice, some experience that you can recommend for other projects in engaging or working with the private sector? Another concern that I have is related to the resilience measurements. I could see that you present some key indicator or area that you try to to measure resilience. Could you share with us some experience about the tools or methodology that you are using or you intend to use? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Junkie. Rhoda, could you hear the question?
I didn't hear him, actually. I didn't hear one bit of what he said. I just saw his mouth moving and yeah.
Sabrina, I had the same issue. Could you just...
Sure. So Junkie is asking, I put it in the chat box for those who weren't able to hear. Junkie was firstly asking in terms of the experience of the Nigeria colleagues in terms of private sector engagement and any advice or in terms of how the project is going about engaging the private sector and getting them on board across the various value chains. And then Junkie had a second question about, you presented on measuring resilience, and Junkie was asking in terms of what experience or tools and methods you're using to track and measure resilience. So there's one question about private sector, and then there's one on measuring resilience, if that's okay, Rhoda.
Okay, so on measuring resilience, I will leave that to Habib. So maybe later, when I finish, you can unmute Habib to talk about that. On engagement with private sectors, we have actually gone so far, but this corona situation has spoiled a lot of things in a way, because we had banks that were ready to support our farmers. Actually, they were part of our summit. We had 2 banks. One of them was ready to supply equipment on credit such that after harvest, the off-takers will pay, then the bank will remove their equivalent of support from the farmer before the money will be given. We have some of these arrangements, and we even have a bank that was ready to support farmers with interest-free loan, Jai's Bank. So, but this issue of Corona really affected a lot of things, such that I think every institution is trying to find their feet because of lockdown. The lockdown came when it was even planting season and so many things. Nobody could move to do anything. But the promise on ground now, or the action on ground now, is that farmers that we are working with have been told on what the off-takers, the companies need, the quality of produce they need. Like oil mills, they say they want a groundnut that aflatoxin free. Our farmers were not even aware that there is anything like aflatoxin. So that is why the companies say they don't go there to buy groundnuts because it's already contaminated. So now we have taught our farmers to be using AflaSafe so that their groundnuts can be aflatoxin free. And the companies now said, okay, once this groundnut is aflatoxin free, as now they are being taught, they are aware, we are coming to our offtake. So from this 2020 harvest now, we will take stock of the number of farmers, the tons of groundnut that these companies will offtake from our farmers. Because we have already, the farmers have signed contracts with the companies for off-taking. So they were to actually support with inputs. Then they will now buy back after harvest. But because of the Corona, every other thing, some of those things really not in place now. But the issue of off-taking is on ground. They are coming to off-take after harvest. Yeah.
Great, thanks, Rhoda. Habib, do you want to take the floor to answer the question on resilience?
Yeah, of course.
So Habib can talk about resilience tracking.
Yes, yeah. Regarding to, thank you so much for good presentation. I think regarding resilience, we've been talking with Sasha, the regional monitoring and evaluation expert. So finally, we agreed.
Habib, we can't hear you.
We are going to measure. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, no problem. Yes. Rhoda, we can hear him, no problem.
Yes, actually, okay, all right. I said this issue, actually, we've started talking with Sasha, the regional monitoring and evaluation expert, since quite some times back. And we eventually reached an agreement that we can measure resilience in two ways, through social aspect and environmental. For instance, for environmental, we say we are going to measure resilience through certain indicators like reduction in soil erosion, like increase in vegetation cover, like adoption of technology, new technology that has to do with the climate smart agriculture by the farmers, as well as maybe using improved seed variety, early variety against maybe drought and other things that make farmers to actually don't have much crop at the end of the season. As for the social, we are going to measure resilience when we are seeing increase in food production, like linking farmers with market and a good price in the market. So it's like we are combining two things together: the social aspect that has to do with the farmers increasing in income, like farmers being able to increase food production. At the same time, looking at the environmental protection by increasing vegetation cover, by decreasing soil erosion, by trying to use certain technologies that are climate smart friendly. So this is in a nutshell how we decided to do. But as for the tools, actually we are going to use largely vital science, because vital science, it combines in both environmental aspect and social aspect. We'll be able to monitor very well. because we can see an increase in vegetation come out very clearly using the vital signs for each community. And then we can also input the information, social information, that when the two are put together, they can help us to find out whether there is increase in resilience. So it's like it is a bit complex and complicated, combining so many things together. So we can't say that it's a particular tool, just one single tool that we can use to show that. But the methodology is to combine social and environmental aspect all together. I think that's how we agreed to do when we discussed with Sasha and the project team.
Super, thank you so much, Habib. I think that's really clear, and I hope that's answered Junky's question. Adisu, who we weren't able to hear, has just typed in his question into the chat box. I'll just read it here. Adisu was asking in terms of saying it's very good that you plan to assess resilience in terms of the project outcomes and a number of factors such as productivity and climate smart agriculture and employment. I think what Habib was just saying. Adisu would like to know if they will use a model or any formula to assess resilience. I think Habib has just answered that question very well. And then maybe this is the second question, Habib, you could maybe answer, as Adisu is asking, what is the plan to measure mitigation of the project? And is there any alignment with Nigeria's NDC? So are you measuring mitigation, and are you reporting in terms of Nigeria's NDC commitments?
No. Okay, no. Actually, at the project level, we are not measuring mitigation. So if we are to report on mitigation, actually we'll get the information from the Federal Ministry of Environment, in particular climate change department. But the project, throughout the project, they came in, we are not measuring mitigation. Yes, it's only resilience that we are trying to assess. But for mitigation, the data is there available with the climate change department, Federal Ministry of Environment.
Okay, perfect. I think that's quite clear. I think in the interest of time, we can take one more question and then we'll give the floor to Malawi. Is there any more burning questions? If not, you can keep them coming in the chat box and we can make sure that our colleagues in Nigeria get these. I don't see any hands up.
There's a question from Babette.
Oh, okay, great. Sorry, a follow-up question on the private sector. You have done really well and gone miles in engaging them, but what are your approaches for private sector engagement? How are you dealing with cases of side selling by the farmers, if there are any? So Babette has asked a very good question about a bit more detail on how you're doing the private sector engagement. And then also, have you had any issues with farmers side selling? So I don't know, Rhoda or Habib, can you answer that?
Yeah, I see. Okay, let me.
Perfect,
and then maybe Madam Rhoda can also add.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the arrangement is in this manner. What we call buyback arrangement. At the beginning of the rainy season, the private sectors, milling companies, are to provide farm inputs such as improved variety seeds, such as manure and other things. So MOU is signed at the end of the rainy season. After the harvest, farmers are going to sell certain percentage of their farm produce to the company. That means it's like they are not paying back what the company give them at the beginning of the rainy season. That is why they call buyback arrangement. It's just like contract farming. So they provide farm input, and then at the end of the season, they will quantify the farm input they provided, and then they pay them with the seeds. The problem is actually, dealing with the human is very difficult. The problem of side selling is not something that you can 100% avoid. But signing MOU is helping us to see that neither the farmers nor the milling companies are going contrary to the agreement. So that's what we do. We are doing contract farming. They'll give them some farm input. At the end of the day, they will pay them with the produce that they produce, and they will buy the produce in good price. Most of the times, they buy the price not according to whole farm get. They sell they buy the commodities from farmers at what we call urban market price, and then they increase certain percentage on the prevailing price. Let's say 3 to 5% most of the times. That's how we do. So, but the side selling, we are trying to avoid it by signing contract and MOU. And then we use it not with individual farmers, but we use cooperative societies, so that whoever wants to be part of this agreement, he has to come through cooperative societies, not as an individual. So that is why the signing of MOU will serve as a legal backing for both sides. Yeah, maybe Madam Rhoda can add more.
I think, I don't know if Rhoda wants to add any more. If not, Habib, I think that was very comprehensive. That was a great answer to the question. Just in terms of time, I think we'll need to move on and hand the floor to Malawi. I just want to, again, can we congratulate the Nigeria colleagues for an excellent presentation. I think we've all learned so much from the project. I've seen Habib, I know Rhoda may have to still continue her journey in the car, and we're very thankful for her stopping now. Joseph has asked another question in the chat box. If you can continue to answer that in the chat box and continue some of those questions from the Nigeria team, that would be great. So thank you again, colleagues. And we'd now like to hand over to our Malawi team. As I understand, Bryson will be making the presentation. Bryson, are you happy to share your screen?
He's just coming back in the room.
Okay, Bryson's just coming back in. If not, I also have your presentation ready if you can't. Bryson, welcome back. You have the floor. I'm just checking, are you okay to share your presentation?
Sure.
Great, thank you so much. Hand over to Bryson, and please keep the questions coming in the chat box, everybody. Great, thanks, Bryson. We're seeing it come up, and if you just make it full screen, fantastic. There we go, the floor is yours.
Thank you to the presentation from Malawi. I'm making this presentation on behalf of the project coordinator, Mandi Makoko. So the project which Malawi is implementing is the Enhancing the Resilience of Agro-Ecosystem project. So as part of the introduction, the goal of the project is to improve food and nutrition security for rural communities in targeting catchments. We are working in 5 catchments across the country. Then the project objective is to enhance the provision of ecosystem services and improve productivity and resilience to agriculture system for vulnerable rural communities in the 5 sub-catchments where we are working. So the objectives encompasses 3 main themes: addressing land degradation, loss of agrobiodiversity, but also climate change adaptation and mitigation. So LASIP is the project which is implementing alongside the Program for Rural Irrigation Development, an IFAD funded program. The program aims at supporting smallholder farming within the intervention area, covering about 15 medium-scale irrigation schemes. So LASIP is prioritizing the investment in the upper catchment or the wider catchment in order to increase ecosystem services and benefit the applied investment in 4 of most vulnerable water resources area which we are targeting. During the design, I think it was envisaged that the applied project will face issues of siltation, reduction in water flows. So the LASIP investment complementing the applied investment to address those key issues. We are working in two clusters. The northern cluster, where we are working in 1 district of the 4 districts where we have applied investment. In the southern cluster, we are working into 2 districts where last applied has got 4 districts where it is constructing the small-scale irrigation schemes. So in terms of the project component, the project was organized in 4 components. The first component is multi-stakeholder institutional framework for integrated catchment area management. Then also the second component is scaling up of catchment level sustainable land management practices, but also to monitor and assess the ecosystem services using the various tools which we are using. So the project is coordinated through the Applied Coordination Office, which is in the Ministry of Agriculture under the Department of Irrigation, but also we are working with other departments. For example, we are working with the Environmental Affairs Department, the Department of Forestry, Department of Land Resources, Department of Agricultural Research Services, and also the district councils, 3 of them, which I've mentioned above. Then also we are working with the village level institutional framework, such as the area executive committees, the village development committees, at the village level. So in terms of implementation updates, under component 1, the project is supporting the local councils and the village level committees to establish a multi-stakeholder institutional framework for integrated catchment area management. We have 5 sub-catchment where we are working with the project, and we have engaged the communities and the councils at local level to formulate what is known as the sub-catchment management committees to oversee the catchment area management plans which will be developed under the project. So those committees were established in relationship with following the Water Resources Act of 2013, and it is spearheaded by the National Water Resources Authority. Under that, we are supposed to develop the catchment area management plans. We'll put the vision of the sub-catchment and developed priority action plans for implementation to address issues of catchment degradation and the competition of resources by various sectors such as conservation, greater development, and other economic development which take place at the local level. So under the project, we are supposed to develop the catchment area management plans for 5 sub-catchment, which is in progress. Currently, we are doing the catchment diagnostic assessment, which we have just completed 2 of the 5 sites. Under the same, we are supposed to the village institution, which will look at the coordinating the implementation of the CAP's priority investment and also the village action plans. So we've managed to support the councils and the communities to establish or revamp the Village Natural Resources Management Committee, which is a committee which will be instituted at the village level, the VDC level. Currently, we have managed to establish 66 groups which are supported by the project to implement catchment level, village level soil and water conservation activities. These groups have got membership of 336, of which 177 are male, female 159, and youth 14. So the development of the village level action plans were participatory, as the photos show. The Village Natural Resources Management Committee, the VDCs, and the Area Executive Committee were able to identify what are the problems, what are the drivers of land degradation, and also to plan to address those issues which were identified through the participatory approach. Then we are supposed also to scale up catchment level land, sustainable land management activities as identified in the catchment area management plans and the village level action plan. And some of the issues which were identified were issues of deforestation, promoting regeneration, and also development of village level forestry area management plans by the VNC, Village Natural Resources Management Committees, through the VDCs and area executive committees. For the project, we have supported the local councils and the village institutions to develop the 2 village forestry area management plans, but also to establish nurseries. These are tree nurseries in all the subcatchment. We've managed to establish 32 tree nurseries. Since last year, since 2019, we have managed to do the afforestation activities of about 67 hectares of land in the 5 subcatchment, but also we have also supported the communities to promote natural regeneration on the land of a size of 41 hectares. So those are the photos just to illustrate the SLM practices which are being promoted in the catchments, the vetiver, planting of the vetiver hedgerows, but also the tree nurseries. More of the photos, since 2019, we have done riverbank protection, or planting trees along the riverbanks in the subcatchment. But also we have established the vetiver nurseries in all the 5 subcatchment where we're working. Under the same, we are also supporting the communities with alternative livelihood activities. One of which is the supporting the communities with non-timber forestry products such as honey production in the subcatchment of it. Up to now, we have supported 494 households with the inputs for honey production in all the 3 districts in 5 catchments. We are yet to quantify the incomes derived from these proceedings. We are expecting that this year is when the farmers were able to produce honey for in the inputs which we have supported the community. These are just the photos where we are training the youth keeping some of the subcatchment, the households which we have supported in the target subcatchment. Under the same scaling up catchment level sustainable management practices, we are working with farmers to train them on the SLM practices in the farmer field. So far, we've done the training for almost 563 farmers in the 3 districts. This year, we'll do a survey in terms of the adoption rate, in terms of the farmers adopting the sustainable land management practices, which we have been training the lead farmer through the. These are some of the also the practices which we are encouraging our farmers to.
Sorry, I just want to check in. I feel like we're having some logistical difficulty, and I would, I think, Bryson, the slides are not moving as you're speaking. And I think that must be an issue technically.
And scaling up of catchment level sustainable land management practices in the Ministry of
So just want to check in. Bryson? Bryson, are you still with us? Because we were having some difficulty hearing, and the interpreters also were having difficulty. And we found that the slides were behind where you were speaking.
I think Bryson might have dropped off just there.
Okay.
I can share the slides. I'm not sure if Monday, I know I can see Monday is online.
Yes.
Monday, would you be willing to pick up to just present the last few slides while we wait for Bryson? I can share the deck my side. Because I think
we've lost Bryson.
Yes,
we
I think he was having some network issues.
There are just a few more slides. If you could talk to them, that would be fantastic, Monday.
Okay, let's share them.
Okay, I'll just get them up.
Thank you, Sabrina.
No problem. Sure, sorry about that. Get rid of those ones. Okay, I'll just share my screen now quickly. There's not too many left. I'll just find, I think we were discussing about the bee. Oh, this is the wrong one, sorry. We were discussing about the beekeeping. Still Nigeria is one I'm sharing, isn't it?
No, yeah.
Sorry. Stop share. Okay, this should be right. Third time lucky. Let me just scroll down quickly. I think we were down here discussing the beekeeping, and we had a couple more components Monday. So here we go. The floor is yours. We just had this picture, and then I think we were talking about scaling up catchment level land management practices. And I'll just walk through the slides for you.
Monday, you want to unmute, please?
Yes, I have done that. Okay, so still under this same scaling up catchment level sustainable land management practices, we planned to train lead farmers and follower farmers on sustainable land management practices. We have trained so far 132 out of a planned 400 sessions. We have also planned to have farmers adopting improved soil and water management practices, targeted 16,600. We have done 563. 500 of these follow our farmers. Next slide. Next slide, please. And on agrobiodiversity, okay, in there we're showing you pictures. Oh.
I can go back to the picture, Monday, if you want to explain.
No, the picture was just showing you examples of what we have done. But okay. Basically, yeah, I think we can go to the agrobiodiversity part of the project.
Sure.
Where we have a pass-on program for chickens and goats. And we targeted 1,000 households. So far, we've done 240 households, spread like that in the 3 districts, 5 catchment areas. And we have also trained 12 farmer groups in nutrition and resilience benefits of indigenous crops, seed selection, and multiplication. The next slide. Oh, okay. We've also had Yeah, let's go to the next slide. If you can get it. Yeah, in those pictures, we're just showing you farmers being trained in how to construct a unit for goats in one of the catchment areas. Next slide. And again, in that picture, we're showing one of the beneficiaries in the catchment areas receiving the goats as part of the PASSON program. And in this picture, we're showing you the demonstration plots for agrobiodiversity, showing a variety of crops. Proceed to the next. How do I do this? Right, and in this we have as an where we're going to reach households with meteorological forecasts. So far, what we've done is collect data on the facilities that are available, and also plan to get the forecast delivered to the farmers. The next slide. So for component 3, this is the tracking part of it. We have so far trained 34 staff in X-Act. We had scheduled for training on data earlier this year, but that was also affected by the COVID-19 travel restrictions. We are still working with ICRAF on the LDSF. We have finally agreed on the contract terms, but we're still working on how this can be done in the wake of the COVID pandemic. And in all our, in the baseline, we have applied the impact monitoring tools. So our baseline study is ready, which shows where our beneficiaries are. Next, please. That's the end of our presentation. Sorry for the interruption, and thank you for listening.
No problem. Thank you so much. Thanks to Bryce and Monday. Thanks very much, Monday, for jumping in there and adapting with our comms situation. So thank you very, very much to you and to Bryson. I think Bryson is back in the room, as I see.
Yes.
So we'd just like to now open the floor for some questions, comments, anything to the Malawi team. Please either raise your hand. We'd love to hear your voice. Or if you want to put anything in the chat box. But does anyone have any questions? We open the floor now. Does anyone would like to just raise their hand? Junkie, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sabrina. Congratulations from my colleague from Malawi. I've been in Malawi last year. I think I can attest that they are doing a very great job on the ground. We all know that promoting multi-stakeholder platform is also contributing for the sustainability of the projects or the action that they are doing on the ground. So I just want to learn more about the policy engagement through the platforms that they have put in place. And also if there is any specific, experience or practice, one or two, as an advice they can provide to us for those who are willing, to set the similar stakeholder platform, especially in the village levels. That would be a very good thing. I would like to know. Thank you.
Great, thanks so much, Junkie. Monday or Bryson, would you like to take that question?
Bryson, can you take that question, please?
Sabrina.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let me take the second question on the experiences and the practices which we are learning on the ground, which we can share with the team. The main one is the development of the community level institutional for managing the catchment. We have learned that this was the first project in Malawi to establish the sub-catchment management committee as a community level institution for planning and implementing the catchment area level intervention for catchment management. What we have learned that if we establish we give and empower the community institution, they'll be able for themselves to plan, but also to implement activities which in the past were being implemented by the district level staff, but now they are being implemented by the community level staff. We have also seen results in using the village natural resources management committees in terms of implementing actual intervention on the ground, soil and water conservation, in terms of sustainability of those structures. What we have learned that if we empower the village natural resources management communities to undertake specific intervention, they are able to take care of the investment which they have done in their communities, in their fields, other than implementing them from the central level or from the council level. So that is the experience which we have learned, and we are even sharing with other projects which are being formulated now in Malawi, and they are adopting that approach. Maybe Monday we can take on the policy engagement and platforms.
Can I come in before Monday?
Yes, but Director, you can come in.
Yeah, I just want to make some additions on what you have spoken about, Bryson. First, I think what is being learned is that it's important that you come up with the joint village action plans, and you should ensure that all the partners within the multi-stakeholder platform are involved. Again, I want to add that sometimes you are told that maybe village chiefs should not play a critical role in activities that are developmental in nature. But what we are seeing is a village chief acts as a governizer of whatever is happening in the communities. So in as much as you would want to not to involve them as much, but the reality on the ground will tell you that the village chief still plays an important role. Those are the 2 points that I wanted to add.
Thank you, Geoffrey Mamba. Geoffrey Mamba is the Director for Irrigation Services, Malawi. Monday.
I'm looking for the question and I don't see it. I can't remember. Could it be repeated? I didn't take it down thinking I'll find it on the screen.
Sure.
Is it?
Junkie was just asking in terms of the work you're doing with the multi-stakeholder platforms, in terms of the policy engagement process, maybe which policies are you influencing or engaged with in terms of the project activities, and if you have any experience to share on this engagement process.
Okay, as Bryson has already said, we are the first project that is establishing catchment management committees in the project. So we're actually assisting to operationalize a government policy on management of catchment areas. So that's the main area. We are going to provide evidence as how these committees work and how they assist in the management of catchment areas, which will feed into further refinement of the strategies and policies of government. That's the main area that we are working in.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Monday. Great. So we have another question in the chat box, just saying, Jeffrey, did you still want to add a point to that question? I just see your hand raised.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think it was mentioned that in the country we have now what is called the National Water Resources Authority. And the PRIDE and ERASIP, these are like pilot projects that are working on establishing catchment management committees. So we feel that there's quite a lot that we are going to learn in the establishment of these committees at catchment and sub-catchment level, as even we build what will become the National Water Resources Authority at country level. So the work that is being supported by IFAD and also by Jeff, I think this is very important to the establishment of the committees for the management of the natural resources, including water. Thank you.
Super, thanks very much, Jeffrey, for that addition. Just another question that came in was about addressing land degradation in the project. And there's a question here in terms of methods to identify hotspots or specific interventions on maybe restoration for land degradation. Bryson, I'm not sure if you want to answer that.
Thank you, Sabrina. As I indicated in the presentation, the village land use plans were done participatory with the communities, the village level structures. These are the VMCs, the VDCs, and the area executive committee. And these communities were able to identify the hotspots in terms of degradation in their communities. And they were able to propose the interventions which will be done to address those hotspots. So it was a participatory approach using the PRS, spearheaded by the extension staff from the council level, guiding the communities in terms of to identify and to identify the hotspots, but also to identify the interventions which are needed to address those land degradation issues in their communities. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Thanks very much. Junkie, I just see your hand went up again. Is that right? Junkie, the floor is yours if your hand is up for another question. We just need you to unmute. Or maybe that was your hand up from the earlier question. Junkie, do you have anything else? No.
Okay.
Don't think so. Okay, I don't see any other hands up at the moment. Please keep registering any of your questions if you still have for the Malawi team. And we will make sure that we can also address those. in the last portion of the webinar, we're now going to move on. There was a request in our last discussion, and we'd ask very much that Junkie is on hand here, because there will be maybe some questions, and I think Rodrigo too. We were asked to have a little bit of space and time for country projects to exchange a little bit around the COVID-19 situation. I think everybody knows that there's been a lot of changes in the last few months, and many projects are adapting. And so just before we move into a discussion, I'll give a very brief summary. We did send out from the Program Coordination Unit a survey around what people are experiencing. So some of these answers come from a month or so back, but just to share a few of the survey responses and some of the experiences of the country projects that we received. In terms of obviously everyone having to move to shift at home, I think initially there were quite a few challenges, and this was a very rapid shift in working. Many project staff did not have a good place to sit, access to data and data bundles and hotspot was very, very difficult. And I think in terms of a reliable power supply, no office supplies in terms of printing or scanning, and even, not a quiet space at home or a suitable desk or screen. So I think about 54% of people responded that they lacked access to just basic working facilities. So I think as things emerged from March, April, May, I think there was quite a few issues just on basic working situations. We also, in the survey, asked several questions around how country projects felt the COVID-19 situation may be impacting project expenditure. And apologies, just realized in terms of the French speakers, apologies that these slides are in English. I hope by speaking slowly, you're getting most of the information, but we'll make sure if there's anything else to clarify, please just ask. So yeah, many of the countries responded that there would be quite a significant impact on project expenditure. This was in terms of what they planned to spend for the 2020 year versus what they thought. And really 89% of respondents felt that there would be a significant underspend for 2020 at that point. And there was a lot of questions around, would there be options for a no-cost extension or changing of some activities. And countries such as Nigeria, Malawi, Uganda, Niger, Senegal, Burkina Faso, and Kenya all mentioned about significant unspent funds, but on categories more linked to workshops and operational costs. And then countries like Burundi and Eswatini and Tanzania and Senegal mentioned about significant unspent costs on all activities across the project. We also asked a little bit, we did ask within the survey about how countries were amending their work plans. And at that point, there were lots of basically countries responding in terms of having to have meetings virtually. I feel like we're now a few months down the line and we're all Zoom experts. We're all operating in this virtual world. But at that stage, there were a lot of changes to try and do virtual formats. The Kenya team, even at that point, were looking how to do a virtual mission and review period, in terms of project progress. Niger were doing sort of trying to split their farming training into small groups. So within their lockdown situation, trying to reduce the number of interactions. Eswatini were doing virtual formats in terms of evaluating proposals, etc. And Burkina Faso, at that point, were even organizing, they had mentioned about 15-person trainings, and social distancing rules, etc. So there were, even in the early stages of the COVID situation, a lot of amendments. Just a very quick summary in terms of mitigation measures that countries were putting in place. And again, just to remind you, these results were from a month or so back. So countries are, I'm sure, have been doing lots more things. And that's the purpose of this session, to just do some exchanges. But Eswatini were already communicating with farmers via SMS, so in terms of vaccination timings, aspects like this. Burkina Faso were very active in posters for awareness, etc. Nigeria had mentioned about scheduling activities and working with their implementation partners about payment systems. I think Rhoda has just explained a lot of the private sector engagement has been quite heavily impacted because of the situation. Niger were very active in putting together an emergency budget and quite a replan of their annual work plan. Burundi were rapid in changes in terms of already thinking about distribution of seeds to coincide with the planting season, etc. And Uganda, in terms of mentioning, they mentioned aspects about already thinking about shifting to e-learning. And Ethiopia, again, were very active in moving to mobile extension. So these were some of the initial immediate mitigation, and just a couple of lessons learned. There were quite a few shared both from hub partners and countries, but I think a realization from a lot of countries. I think Salvatore, our respondent from Burundi, said really well about this has really showed us the need to respond to external shocks. And I think Ethiopia, in terms of saying it's really given us an opportunity that we need to innovate very, very quickly. And Senegal had actually a direct request in terms of, it was their other projects that they could connect to in terms of mangrove restoration, because this was one activity that they still wanted to do. So that was a very brief summary of the survey, just to give you an insight. We'll put the link where the survey is accessible. But we now wanted to open the floor to give country projects a chance to air any questions, to discuss modality changes, to have any questions they have in terms of the programming, in terms of the situation. And again, I would just ask that our task manager, Jonki, is on hand, Rodrigo from the PCU, to answer any of these questions as well. So the floor is open. Please, any kind of questions or exchanges on the COVID situation. This session is responding to what we were asked for last week, 2 weeks ago, sorry. I don't know if there's anyone has an opening question, or Jonki would like to give any kind of summary, or Rodrigo.
Well, if there is no question right now in the beginning, maybe we could ask if anyone from the country projects would like to add or specify any other point that was not maybe mentioned in the survey, or maybe things have already changed since we conducted the survey back in May. So just to see if anyone would like to share any other thing.
Yeah, can I say something?
Please. Yes, please go ahead, John.
Okay, so I just want to add what Rodrigo has said, that we have been asked by Jeff Secretary, to submit, the potential impact of the COVID-19 to our project. So we have done that exercise together with Rodrigo and the other hub partner, and we sent this back to GF. What we find out especially is related to how the COVID-19 will increase the project management costs. As we know, a lot of people are locked down and are not in the ground, and activity, they continue to pay their salary and so on. So that can also have a little bit impact on the project management budget. Another things we have find out is how the COVID-19 could, impact the achievement of the global environmental benefits. And we also discussed about that, and we're still monitoring all these aspects with the Job Secretary. And we were asked also to look at the desert locusts, especially in the Horn of Africa, Ethiopia, and Kenya. And now colleagues are also, working on that. For IFAD sites, as we know, IFAD has launched the Rural Poor the Stimulative Facility that is supporting some of our projects. And now most of our countries are working on that, to receive some additional support. As you know, for IFAD side, most of our child projects are embedded to the regular or loan projects in the countries. So that is an additional information I want to share with you. We are also working with the Job Secretary about our emerging lessons from the IIPs, and this issue related to COVID-19 is also discussed broadly, during our meetings. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jonky. Do we have any other questions for Jonky or Rodrigo? Or any updates? Anything that's changed that you'd like to check in on?
Additional information that I want to provide, we are trying to train some of our IIP country project on outcome mapping. As we know, during our regional workshops, there were some requests from our country team, to have a training on outcome mapping. So 2 weeks ago, we, in partnership with Bangor University, we had a training with Nigeria team. We have another one yesterday with yesterday and the day before with Uganda team. So we are going now to replicate the same to Senegal, Niger, and Burkina Faso. So if there is any specific request or demand from our country, we can discuss with our partner Bangor University to seek out how we can support them to carry out that training and support the measurement of the impacts of the project in the various boundary partner in the countries. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Jonky. And perhaps while we're mentioning upcoming trainings, next week, the shared team along with FAO from Component 1 are going to be having the second in a series on enhancing the science policy interface. And next week, we're going to focus on policy engagement and bringing evidence and ensuring it's integrated into policy work and advocacy. So we're very excited. So on Tuesday, we will be having the session in English. You will have gotten an announcement about this. And on Thursday, the session will be held in French. And we are delighted because we've had the opportunity to have conversations with each and every one of the country teams so that the training is very tailored to the demands of the country teams. And we're grateful to everyone from the country teams for their interactions. Anything else to add to that, Sabrina?
No, that's perfect, thanks.
Well, just adding to the point mentioned by Jonky, the regional hub as a whole is trying to adapt and promote more virtual offers to the countries. So we have not only the ones mentioned so far on the outcome mapping with ICRA, FIFA, and Bangor University, or the one by the shared group with FAO, but also we have already had other trainings provided by FAO colleagues, for instance, on exact to some of the countries, including Malawi a couple of weeks ago. And I'm sure that there are other ones coming up soon as well on SHARP, on FIAS. I've seen a lot of communications between interested countries and the respective hub partners. So from the hub, from the PCU, we are really at hand to help you on anything needed. Just let us know, get in touch with the with myself or directly with the most appropriate partner responsible for the potential tool or training that you might be interested in, and we will discuss and see how this can be done and what kind of adaptations might be needed for a virtual offer.
Thank you for that, Rodrigo. So I think we're about to come to the close of our session, but what we would like to do is to invite you for a poll and a question. If we could, let me just share here. So one of the things that, you know, we've had this great opportunity to have this sequence of updates from the country programs to really try to enhance cross-country exchange, knowledge exchange. And so Serge is now sharing a poll, because what we would like to know is, how are you finding these? How useful, etc. And so we would just appreciate your taking the time to respond to the poll so we can have feedback as potentially future cross-country learning exchanges are taking place. So we've got 2 responses. Can we get a few more, please? Okay, very good. As the projects are advancing through the program, there's more and more to share and to learn from one another. So that's excellent. So we might just wait for a couple of more votes. And then may I please ask Serge to show the results? Wonderful. So people are envisaging that these are quite valuable. They also note that we are overloaded since so much has moved over to a virtual context. And we also view this as important because we have the opportunities to interact with the hub, with the task manager, with the Jeff. So thank you so much for this feedback. This will be very useful as we go forward. And so what I would like to do now is just to invite suggestions that you may have to please place in the chat box. Any suggestions you have for improving these exchanges. If you have suggestions, we would be delighted to hear about those. So if you could just put those in the chat box, we would greatly appreciate it. Suggestions to improve. Sabrina, are we getting some responses?
I'm just opening the chat box now, sorry. Not at the moment, but I think we'll just leave the chat open for a couple of minutes. And if anyone has any responses, just to register them. Yeah, and yeah, I don't know if there's any closing remarks from Junkie or from Rodrigo or anyone else. Any last closing remarks?
Okay, if you ask me, maybe I can say something.
Yes, great.
Yes, I'll do it in French, as I have my colleague in French. They would like also to hear about. So, comme la dernière fois, je voudrais justement saisir cette opportunité pour remercier les uns et les autres d'avoir consacré leur temps, participer à cette deuxième section donc de partage de connaissances qui est très important pour notre programme. Et comme vous le savez, le programme dans son entièreté est un programme pilote. Bon, ce qui dit pilote veut dire l'apprentissage au fur et à mesure que nous évoluons. Et je crois que la session de ce matin nous a encore permis de découvrir ce que l'équipe de Nigeria est en train de faire, ce que l'équipe de Malawi aussi est en train de faire. Et je pense qu'à partir de là, nous avons appris, nous avons retenu de bonnes choses qui vont orienter nos actions sur le terrain. Pour ce qui concerne le FIDA, dont je représente ici, je pense que nous tenons justement à ce que ce programme puisse arriver à toucher les cultivateurs, les producteurs qui sont au fin fond de nos villages. Et je pense que notre objectif ici, c'est de comment optimiser nos actions de manière à pouvoir les toucher effectivement. Pour ce qui concerne le FEM, je regrette que le collègue Jean-Marc n'est pas là parce qu'il m'a informé qu'il sera en congé pendant cette période-ci. Et donc, il me dit de vous transmettre tout son soutien au processus et qu'à partir de septembre, il sera avec nous. Donc, je vous remercie, je vous souhaite une très bonne soirée et bon retour où que vous soyez. Merci.
Thank you so much, Junkie, and thank you for passing words from Jean-Marc. And we look forward to our next interactions. At this moment, I would just invite everyone to, if you can, share your video so that we can have a face-to-face until we meet again. Yes, it's so nice to see you. It's so nice to see everyone. Benjamin, Babette, lovely. Joseph, thank you so much. Baxina, it's just a delight. All right, and thank you to our presenters one last time. You've just done an amazing job. And we wish everyone a very good rest of your day. We want to thank our interpreters for their great assistance. And please continue to stay safe and healthy.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
You so Thanks so much, everybody.
Bye. It was lovely.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Habib. Thank you. Bye, Adisu.
Bye, Habib. Chantal.